Good afternoon to you, snooker fans, and welcome to this latest edition of the 15 Red podcast with me, Scott McCarter, here in County Tyrone in Northern Ireland. And I'm joined from London this time by my co-host Kellie Barker. Good afternoon, Kellie.
Hello, Scott. How are you doing? Yes, I got back from Sheffield this afternoon after a wonderful 9 days. What a championship we've had so far. So yeah, I'm home until Friday now, and then back up there for finals weekend. So already can't wait for that.
Tremendous. Who will be there, I wonder? But we left you at the end of the first round, the start of the second round. The second round is coming towards its conclusion. Uh, where should we start, do you think, Kellie? Because it has been such a tremendous championship so far.
It's been absolutely fantastic, and it feels an honour and a privilege to have sat in there for all of it so far. I think if we start with the first of the second rounders to get underway, which was Chris Wakelin beating your home hope, Mark Allen, 13-6. I think Allen will be devastated he's not become world champion. But Chris Wakelin was absolutely on fire. The start of that second session, when he took the four in a row from 6-2 up, he went 10-2. Those four frames are as good as it's possible to play this game. And, at 10-2, I think Mark knew the match was pretty much gone almost. But he did provide it, as good as Wakelin was in his frames, Mark did provide us with perhaps the highlight of the tournament so far, the 147. So he'll be very proud to have that in his locker now, and he's the first player to complete 147s at all three of the Triple Crowns. So that's something he can look back on with pride. But
Yeah.
a disappointing way to end the season, going home in the second round.
Yes, for the second year in a row, because of course he went out to that remarkable John against clearance last year. So
Yes, I think whereas last year though, I think you can always lose to John Higgins, and it was a phenomenal clearance. I think Mark couldn't have done any more than he did last year. He couldn't have done much against Chris Wakelin because he was just
no,
so
no,
good.
no.
I've never seen him play so well. But going into the match, it would be one that Mark felt he would have been favourite for, and he would have had his eyes on the title this year. So it's disappointing for him that he didn't come through. But all the credit for Chris Wakelin into his first Crucible quarter final. And he is playing as well as he's ever played, probably better. So, he's got half a shout, I think.
Very much so. I mean, he was tremendous, taking nothing away. But can I just, you would expect me to dwell on the maximum for a moment for obvious reasons. But the 15th Crucible maximum and the 11th different man to do it. So, like, and as you say, the so-called Triple Crown maximum treble, he's the only player to have done that. So, a tremendous achievement. Fifth of his career. So, so he's claiming that little list as well. So, a tremendous achievement. And I mean, well, the atmosphere here in this house was tremendous at the time because I was here on my own actually. So I think the neighbours probably heard me when the final black went in. But no, it was a tremendous moment for him and disappointing though that he lost. But again, as you say, Wakeland was superb. And I would say,
Absolutely.
there's definitely a chance that he could go very, very deep, if not win the World Championship.
I think so. He looks so focused as well, and there's no, he's just, in the zone, and he's been much improving, Chris Wakelin, over the last 2 or 3 years. He won the shootout, reached a couple of ranking finals now, and he's looking better and better as time goes on. So yeah, he'll play Zhao Xing Tong next, and that could be a real humdinger. I'm looking forward to that one. Zhao beat he beat Kyron's he beat Kyron's conqueror, Lei Pei Fan, only 13-10 in the end. He was quite well ahead in the match. And he always looked comfortable for the win, to be fair. But Lei Pei Fan made a real game of it in that final session. Xing Tong only came through 13-10. But I think if Pei Fan could have been slightly closer to him going into that final session, he could have done the business as well. But it's a tremendous match between the two Chinese. And as we say, that Xing Tong win sets up the quarter-final against Chris Wakeling, which is really one to look forward to tomorrow.
Certainly, indeed. Just on Lee Pei Fan, we know, of course, that he likes it when it goes close, because when he won the Scottish, four of the matches were in deciding frames. So he's fond of it when it goes close. So if he had been slightly closer, as you say, it might have been a different outcome. But probably he was always second favourite against Xing Tong for obvious reasons, because Xing Tong, although he's been through what he's been through. He is a former UK champion, so there's
Absolutely, and his
pedigree
name,
there, if you like.
absolutely, and I truly think his name might be on this trophy, if not this year, in the next 2 or 3 years, because he's so good. So yeah, looking forward to that quarter final. Um, the performance of the round, as good as Chris Wakeling was, I think the performance of the round was Luca against Ding. Um,
Oh,
he's
goodness
currently
me.
he's currently 12-4 up, so he hasn't quite won it yet, but he's all but there, you would think now. And that first session to lead 7-1, it was maybe the most exhilarating session of snooker I've ever seen. He only flew in on a private jet, arriving into the Crucible 20 minutes before the match. How's that for preparation? But then he
Mm.
went and gave the Crucible and anyone watching at home the most breathtaking snooker. And Ding started with a 1-4-1. It's not like he was off form. Ding started brilliantly. And, we said after that first frame, poor Luca's going to have to be on it tonight because Ding looked very good. But Luca's snooker was just absolutely sensational. I still
Oh,
don't have the words. And when this
yeah.
tournament when this tournament's over, I always go back and watch the best of it again on the iPlayer, um, or Discovery. But yeah, that session is certainly going to be at the top of the list of sessions I need to go back and watch because it was just to say it was good doesn't do it justice. To say it
No,
was
I mean,
amazing doesn't do it justice. It was just out of this world, and
it was,
playing like
it
that,
was,
Lucas certainly could win the world title again. It's whether he can you do that session after session. He probably doesn't have to be quite that good again. It's whether he can be consistently very good. And in the next round, he will play Judd, who this afternoon has beaten Sean Murphy 13-10. Now, this was just phenomenal, Scott, from
oh,
start
dear
to
me,
finish.
this was
The,
tremendous.
the standard all the way through was very good. It's very slightly slow start from both of them. Um,
Yes.
Murphy led Murphy led 2-0, but Judd, once he got into his stride, he ended that first session 5-3 up. And I think Murphy would have been rather disappointed that he didn't make more of a, well, at least before all, if not have a 5-3 lead himself, because he was arguably the better player, really. But I think Judd felt, he'd done the business there to get out 5-3 up. And in the second session last night, it was something special. Judd played really well. Sean wasn't bad himself, but Judd was just phenomenal. And in the middle of all that, he hit his 100th century of the season to claim that 100 grand bonus. And for me, it was an honour and a privilege to be sat there when he did that ton. I knew it was coming probably, but I feared I might miss it because I'm back home now. And I thought at the beginning of the tournament, I thought, well, seven's quite a lot to get in the first two rounds. But when he hit five in the first round, I thought, wow, he could do this now. And
Mm.
he got close to a couple of centuries in the morning, in the evening session before he hit his two centuries.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, and then that frame when he did it, the crowd got so
Yeah.
behind him. He got a standing ovation. The atmosphere was just so lovely. I think Judd was quite taken aback how everyone was so into it. But yeah, it was really, really great to be there for that. And this afternoon, he's got it over the line against Sean. Sean made a fantastic mini comeback. I think
He did.
I think he was 12-7 when I got home from Sheffield this afternoon. Rallied to 12-10 with three brilliant frames, and but he just slightly loose in the next frame, and Judd did what he had to do to get over the line. So 13-10, and plays Luca next. Luca's 12-4. He's through really. But
Yes, yeah.
Judd v Luca in the quarterfinals. That's going to be one
Oh
to
dear,
watch.
that's tasty, all right. No, but let me just comment first of all on Luca. I mean, as you say, that was just extraordinary, wasn't it? I mean, if Steve Davis is saying, because he said on commentary, that's probably the greatest single session performance he's ever seen at the Crucible. Now, bear in mind, Steve has been either playing or commentating every year since 1980. So he's seen
Yes,
it.
the only other session I can probably compare it to was the 2019 World Final, Judd against John Higgins, and that's
Yes.
Sunday night, the Sunday night second session.
And
Judd
4-all
just
to 12-5.
Yes, Judd was absolutely phenomenal that night with a brand of snooker that you don't see too often, and
No.
that's the main one I can compare it to, really. Certainly of sessions I've been there for. Um, Absolutely brilliant. And like I say, that session will live long in the memory. And poor old Ding, he didn't do a lot wrong, but I think he was about, 10-2 or something down before he had a shot or knew where he was. So, yeah, the pressure was too much on then. But
And then that extraordinary sort of comeback from Sean Murphy in the match, because at 12-6, because it was 12-6, and you sort of thought, this is over now. But then, in the frame before the interval, uh, Judd missed a red to the middle. It was comparatively easy. And, that went to 12-7, then 12-8, then 12-9, then 12-10. And you're sort of thinking, my goodness me, Sean could do this. But it was one of those things, like you were saying earlier um was it Lee Pei Fan. If Sean had been closer to start with, the comeback might have gathered a bit more momentum, but in the
yeah,
end, Judd didn't actually have to do very much. So, but as you say, Trump and Brussels, what a tasty one that is.
I think was it in the commentary last night? I had the earpiece on, or they said it in the studio. I can't remember. But they said that that's maybe that match could be the. Oh, I think maybe they were talking about Judd and Sean Murphy, but I think it applies to Luca as well. It could be the Ferrari against the Rolls Royce. Um, just
Yeah,
phenomenal players, and wow, that's a quarter final to savour as well. They're going to be a great couple of days ahead with some tasty looking matches, and we haven't
yeah.
even got to the we haven't even got to the class of '92 yet, Scott.
Goodness me. Well, we'll go there now, shall we? We'll start with
Let,
Ronnie because he's nearly through.
yes, he's currently 12-4 up on Pang Junzu. I was at both sessions of this. I think Pang started slowly, and Ronnie, he didn't have to play at his very best, but he's starting to look sharper. In the second session, Ronnie did look better, and Pang looked better actually. He started the second session better, but I think again Ronnie was always a little too far ahead by the time Pang got going. So again, Ronnie hasn't had to be at his best in this game. But a good effort from Pang to reach the second round. It was a decent win against Zhang Gander in the first. And, he's 12-4 down now. He's going to come out tonight as a, little see what he can do. One last final frame or final fling, as it were, in the Crucible this year. But yeah, Ronnie's pretty much through. And just as we're recording this now, Ronnie will play Si Jiahui, who has just this minute beaten Ben Wollaston 13 frames to 10. So that could be a good one. I don't think Si is playing as well as he perhaps needs to. That match was a bit slow at times,
Yeah,
and not always the best quality, but he's got it in the tank. And
of course they have.
Ronnie against Si, if they both play well, it really could be another cracker. So I think all the quarterfinals will be good in their own ways. But impressed with Ronnie. He's looked focused and like he wants to be there. There's been no messing about from him. And I have to say, as anyone knows, I'm not his biggest fan in the past because of some of his behaviour. But I'm feeling the love for him at this tournament. I think it's good to see him back, and it's good to see him in the quarterfinals. And who knows? It would be quite the story if he's taken, a good third of the season off and he comes out of it as an 8 times world champion. Long way to go, of course, but
Yeah.
yeah. So that's Ronnie v Si Jiahui quarterfinal then tomorrow.
Yes, like I'm gonna be brutally honest and say I don't think C's playing quite as well, this year as he was 2 years ago. But then he was sort of raw, and his edges hadn't been smoothed over, if you like. But I think there might be sort of what Mark Allen is going through, sort of that. Yes, it's getting them results, this sort of relatively slower style of play. But is it actually having a detrimental effect on his game? But we'll see. But I think Roddy will have too much for him, I think.
I think so too. I think I think Ronnie's been playing better and he's been looking sharper as the sessions have gone on. The second
Mm.
session against Ali Carter in the first round, he looked very good actually.
Yes,
And he was never troubled against Pang, in all honesty. But
no,
I think there's more in the tank in the next round, and I think if I agree with you that Si isn't playing quite as well at the moment as he was when he had that wonderful run to the semis 2 years ago. But it'll be very interesting to watch, and whoever does come out on top, it'll be a wonderful story for them to make the semis again, especially if it is Ronnie after this coming back. I think if now he's got this far, he will have eyes on, at least the one table set up and, in the back
yeah,
of his mind, an eighth world title. But
indeed.
yeah, moving on to the other members of the class of 92, the quarterfinal between Mark Williams and John Higgins that'll be really one to look forward to. I think everybody,
Yes,
in fact, outside the Crucible yesterday, between sessions, I bumped into Olivier Martial. And at that point, the referees hadn't found out who's doing the quarterfinal, who's doing which quarterfinals. And he said to me that he really hopes the snooker gods give him Williams v Higgins because it's just the match. It's just the dream match that he wants to see for the all-round match play of both. And
yeah,
I'm sure he knows by now which one he's doing. So hopefully for him, he'll have got the one he wanted. But I don't think he'd complain at any of the quarterfinals he'll get. But Mark Williams, he beat Hossein Vafaei 13-10 in the second round. Vafaei put up a really good show in the end, but Williams was always ahead enough to get over the line. I
Yeah.
don't think we ever truly thought he might lose that match, but Hossein did rally and made it a close fight in the end. So that was a good game. I enjoyed that. And the other one, John Higgins and Zhao Gudong. Goodness me, this was quite the struggle at times.
Yeah.
The first session of it was on Thursday night. Was very entertaining, high quality, good scoring. But it got slowed down in the second and third sessions. So much so that we went to an unprecedented, they had to come back on Saturday night to finish it all off because it should have finished on Saturday morning, but they couldn't quite get it done. Higgins actually should have won 13-10. He missed a good chance.
Yes.
And, it,
Was the
and
black.
Gudong stole that frame to stay in it at 12-11, and that's
Yeah.
when they had to come off. They came back at night after the Looper and Ding session, and you, I think we feared the worst for John because he should have won it 13-11, but again, Gudong stuck in there, and it went 12-all, and you thought, oh, the snooker gods might not be on John's side now, but John played a great decider. Came out, I think it was either one or two scoring visits, and he was into the quarterfinals with a sigh of relief, I would think, and that mouth-watering clash with Mark Williams to come.
Yeah. A mouth-watering clash, and I'm going to make a lot of snooker fans feel rather old when I say this stat. A mouth-watering clash that was the semi-final 25 years ago.
Wow, that is something. Yes, they played in a couple of semi-finals in '98 and '99, I think. I was there for parts of both of those matches back in my
Yeah.
early days. Um, Gosh, we've all aged a little bit since then, but they're still playing as well as ever. How on earth do you
Yeah.
do it? Williams turned 50 very recently. John's
Yeah.
about to turn 50 after this tournament. As Rob Walker always introduces Willow, and the same can be said for Higgins, the hair's gone, but they're still producing the business. They're both incredible human beings to stay at the top of their sport. They've both had, some declines over the years, but they both look at times as good as ever.
Yeah.
The season Higgins has had recently as well, two big titles. Yes, he could have lost to Gudong, but he came through it. And Mark Williams has had trouble with his eyes recently. Apparently, he isn't wearing the contact lenses for this tournament, and he's got surgery booked in for June. But yeah, he's looking good again. And he's always been great to watch. He's one of my absolute favourites. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'll be back at work tomorrow when that match starts, but I'll definitely have it on in the office. And I really hope I'm not too busy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, far be it from me to correct my esteemed co-host, but the two semi-finals were 1999 and 2000.
Yes, they were. You were right, Scott. I'm wrong. I'll
Yeah.
give you that one. I was just testing you, you see. I know you were only just born then, so I wondered if you'd really know.
Ah, yeah, yeah, but of course, Joel Higgins beat Joe Godong in a deciding frame eventually, and that leads us on very nicely to my trivia question for this week or for this episode. Been a couple of episodes since we did one, but just with scheduling, I haven't had time to think of one. But my one for this uh, John Higgins has played 10 Crucible Deciders and won 9 of them. In which year did he lose his only Crucible Decider, and who was it against? So, a two-part question there. Who did John Higgins lose the only Crucible Decider he's ever lost? Who did he lose to, and what year was it? So that'll be for our next episode, which we think will probably be Friday lunchtime if we uh, get things organised. But we'll keep you posted on that. And you any sort of final thoughts, Kelly, before we?
No, I just hopefully everyone sits back and enjoys these quarterfinals for the next 2 days because they're really going to be four matches to savour. Little disappointed I aren't still there to enjoy it live, but I've had a wonderful week, and I'll be back up there Friday evening, and let's enjoy it, folks. I think this will go down as one of the real great Crucible tournaments, and yeah, any snooker fans should be enjoying this because it's been absolutely brilliant so far.
Yeah, it has been, and I think we're bound to break the centuries record at this stage. There were 80 at the start of play this morning, so
Absolutely. I think Chris told me that stat this morning, how many centuries there's been so far. And it's been a tremendous championship. I think there hasn't been, and I don't think the pockets are playing overly generous either. I think they're just right.
no,
It's just that
yeah.
everyone's playing so well. So, yeah, well done, everyone so far.
Yes, Trump, like it, it's one of the best I think we've ever had. Like from what I can remember. I mean, this will probably make you feel rather old, but the first one I remember staying up for was Robo in 2010. So
Oh, and that was a late finish as well because the session didn't start till 8 p.m. at night on the BBC that year.
yes,
So yeah,
so
that was a late finish.
basically in my sort of 15 years of watching things, I don't think I've ever seen a better one live, if you like.
No, yeah, it's been a just fantastic week. I think the first weekend, you don't necessarily want to see the champion go out, but it creates a fantastic story, and it's just gone from there, really. As I said in the last episode, Mark Williams against Wu Yiza was fantastic. I loved that match. Getting a 147, just being there, I don't know whether it comes across at home, but during nearly all the introductions now, Rob Walker gets the crowd clapping as one, which it makes for a fantastic atmosphere before the matches start.
Yeah.
And it, whether the players are inspired by it all, but it's just made for some incredible snooker.
And let me just get this in before we leave. Um, Barry Hearn, keep your money as far as I'm concerned.
Well, that did rear its ugly head again. I've tried not to delve into it or think about it too much up to now because I've been having such a good time. I don't want to think about the negatives of it, but let's leave that for another day and enjoy the best of what this championship and this wonderful venue and wonderful city of Sheffield has to offer. It would never be
Yeah.
the same anywhere else. So
No, it wouldn't.
let's enjoy what we've got for now, and
And
you know, leave that for another day.
indeed, quite right, quite right. But as I say, we'll be back, God willing, on Friday, probably about Friday lunchtime, but we'll keep you posted there. And I'll say good afternoon to Kelly and bye for now, everyone.
Bye bye.